everyone and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to survive the acute medicine rotation. I am an ACCS Anaesthetics trainee. Acute medicine is not my forte, and therefore I have decided to make this video for all those people who are going to do acute medicine, whether in training or without training. Right, so before we start jumping into the fact how to survive acute medicine, we need to know what acute medicine actually is. Acute medicine is a branch of I would say it's a branch of training in the UK, but it's a department as well, which basically deals with all of the acute intakes that the ED does in terms of medicine. It is in itself a speciality. By that I mean all acutely ill patients, all critically unwell patients who do not make it to ICU or who are not fit for ICU admissions are then taken by the acute medicine team. This means that acute medicine department is going to have a plethora of different kinds of cases, and it would also include a lot of critically ill patients who don't have escalation plans for ICU. Why I have mentioned this before actually starting into the survival mode is because this means that the whole hospital scrap is going to fall down into your lap as an acute medicine doctor. This includes any upper GI bleeds for patients who are unable to be taken care of. It also includes all of the old geriatric people who have come to you because they had fractures which did not require surgeries, so they don't go to orthopedics. This also includes all kinds of social admissions which essentially should go somewhere else, but they're with you because you're acute medicine. Now that we've established what acute medicine is, here are my tips on how to survive it. I was sort of unlucky in the sense that I started in a very big trust in the acute medicine department during nights, and I had no idea what I was doing. And coming from an ICU background and obviously being able to do so much for my patients, suddenly I felt like my hands are tied, because for anything that I wanted to do for my patients, I couldn't because of all of the limitations that comes with an acute medicine job. It wasn't bad in terms of patient care or patient sort of targeted approach, because at the end of the day, the limitations are very clearly defined. So if you have a patient who's come in with respiratory problems and their ceiling of care is, say for example, high flow, and that's it, that the high flow is it. And so therefore I had to kind of accept the fact that I would not be able to do everything for every patient. And that would be my biggest tip, that you should think about yourself as an acute medical doctor while working in acute medicine. If you belong to any other specialty, this includes ED as well, and kind of just accept the fact that your hands are actually tied and you are blindfolded and there's nothing you can do about it. But you can provide extreme care and caution to your patient who has been admitted under your care. The next thing that I want to talk about is your communication skills. I think that to survive acute medicine, you should be having excellent communication skills. Not because you kind of have to talk to other people, which is obviously going to be there because there's so many kinds of patients that are coming through, but you also have to talk to several departments. As I said, acute medicine itself is not a ward. It does not take care of patients in long term. So say for example, if somebody comes with sepsis, you will treat them, but when they're sort of in the recovery position and they have a respiratory issue, they have to be referred to respiratory. Say for example, if they come with a GI problem and you fix the upper GI bleed and they've gone to their endoscopy, they then have to be referred to gastro. Same goes for patients who have other problems such as alcoholic liver disease or other things. They again have to go to their parent specialty. And therefore, you should be having really good skills on how to sell your patient or refer your patient in a way that it's accepted. Also, because they come directly from ED, there are times when there is no investigation that has been completed, or you are the person who's going to diagnose the patient because there was too much patient load in ED and they just brought the patient to you. So you have to have excellent skills to talk to the radiology people, which it's hard. If you're acute medicine or ED, it's just very hard to talk to radiology. If any radiologist is watching this video, please be kind to junior doctors. We don't know what we're doing. We have so many patients. The next thing I want to talk about is the timing. So acute medicine in my hospital had the longest hours on the planet. Maybe I'm wrong. But basically, the max hours you were working were 13.5. All on calls were 13.5, reaching to 14, sometimes 14.5. 14 hours, I mean. And it took a toll, and they came in sets. So it would be 4 nights, 4 days, 4 long days, weekends, nights again. And in my department, they also did not do any bank holidays. So I was essentially working all the time. And that takes a toll on you in obviously physical manner and mental manner. But for somebody who likes eating hot food, I realized that I can't live without hot food. I can't live on sandwiches and stuff. So meal prepping is the next thing I would say to survive those long hours. The other thing is to have certain hobbies that let you rest. So I run a lot, and I felt like during my acute medicine rotation, I never went to run. I never went to swim. Any of the things that I usually physical exertion was something that was completely off the table. And that's fine, because I mean, there is no other way. How will you go and do like 4 sets of 14-hour shifts if you are also trying to get some physical exertion out of it? But there are people who did it, and if you are somebody who's able to do that, I would say go for it. But please prepare yourself for the long hours, and by preparation I mean definitely meal prep. The next thing is to actually plan your holidays. So I know that I've said that I never had a bank holiday in the entire 6 months, but because of that I also got in lieu days, and I utilized them to have sets of week off. And during that time I actually went and did something nice. So we went and climbed the Snowdon Mountain. And I felt like, you know what, I really needed that outlet, that sort of, and that can only happen if you plan your annual leave. So definitely plan your annual leaves. Acute medicine rotations usually have a very flexible rota because you're on call all the time. So they have to kind of make sure that you get some offs if you can. In the hospital I was working in, their acute medicine department was divided into 3 separate wings, and they had very different kinds of patients coming. I didn't have any sort of opportunity to do a QI pure and audit, but there are opportunities because there's so much influx of patients that you can actually think about a QI pure and audit. I didn't do any because I didn't need it, but I would say consider something as a PDP before you start your acute medicine rotation and see if you're able to do that or not. You can also think about finding a case and writing a case report during this rotation, because as I said, there are so many cases that you will find something you could write about. And as I previously said, because they were divided in so many wings, I never actually made any friends. I don't know anybody in my acute medicine department. There was always someone new in the unit or where I was working. I couldn't socialize much, but as I said, I'm a very big introvert, so I don't really socialize anyways. But if you are somebody who likes socializing, then you might actually want to have plans outside your acute medicine rotation to have considerably practical social interactions. If you are somebody who is a very social person, then you should think about how you can maintain that while you're doing your acute medicine rotation, because that would impact your personal mental health when you're working in acute medicine. And finally, you can actually work a lot on your clinical skills and examinations while being on acute med, because there again so many cases. I think the best positive thing in an acute medicine rotation is you have so many cases and there's no ED limits, so you're never sort of pressured to examine a patient or pressured to come with a diagnosis. You have time, you have ample communication skills with your patients. You can talk to them, you can talk to their family members and next of kin and do a proper history and examination, proper investigations, all of that. And obviously you then have to do certain interventions as well, which I found was quite interesting, because obviously I come from the ICU and anesthetics background, so interventions is something that I like doing. But there's a lot of opportunity for doing ascitic taps, lumbar punctures, drains, chest drains, ultrasound guided venous access. All of these things you can do in an acute medicine rotation. So if you're somebody who's been thinking about, you know what, I need to do an acute medicine rotation, do I really need to? Yes, you should. If you can and you can survive it, then why not? Because you're going to get a lot of different kinds of cases, you're going to meet so many people, and you're going to have so many specialities coming and liaising with you every single day. Obviously the workload is really high, but then again the exposure is very good as well. So all in all, I felt like acute medicine wasn't like a survival mode for me. I enjoyed the rotation. I enjoyed learning how medics work, and I have a very big respect for medics now, especially with their hours. They're insane hours. And I actually want to salute all of the medics out there, regardless whether they're in acute medicine or other specialties, because I feel like being a medic is just very, very difficult. Having your hands and eyes tied up and trying to solve your patient's problems with so many limitations, especially with the ceilings of care, is something that I genuinely respect. And I'm glad that I did my 6 months rotation. I hope that you guys like this video. Give the video a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.